start off welcoming everyone. Thank you for coming today. We have a lot to talk about. And Rob, I'll do the intro instead of Paul. I will start off with a land acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge my close neighbors. I am calling from Noelville, Ontario. It's in Northern Ontario. And I would like to acknowledge my close Indigenous neighbors of the Doquis First Nation. They are the grandfathers of this area, the French River, and the surrounding waters and lands. I'd ask everyone to think about climate change and how it has adversely affected our Indigenous neighbors more adversely than others. So let's just think about that as we have this very topical discussion today. So, Rob, do you want me to introduce at this point?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great, Julie, if you can kind of set the stage from the project perspective and where we're at, and then I can jump into things.
Great. And everyone, thank you for coming today. We are looking for your support as we roll out the Tomorrow Matters program. We have been working with PSPC for almost 4 years on an occupant engagement program. We started this journey pre-pandemic. We worked with we identified the 6 buildings, and then the pandemic came into our path. We have had to change focus. And today we're going to give you some exciting new information for you to start planning. And when we say we mean BGIS as well as the tenant representatives here today. We need your help. We can't do this without you. So it's important that you let us know what you think through this process. Some of you may have attended the July meeting earlier and as an introduction, but you're going to get a lot more information today. So I'm going to turn it over to the great presenters, Kim and Rob, and they're going to take it from here. I'll keep an eye on the hands up. If anybody has a question, please just do interrupt us and put your hand up, and I will call on you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Julie, and welcome everybody. I think I've been looking through the names there. I think I've met probably definitely most of the folks that are on the call, virtually, of course. And so here today, along with my colleague Kim and Amanda and Len from CBCL, and it'll be myself and Kim just taking the reins and facilitating the conversation. But as Julie had talked about, really what we're here to do today is just identify some roles and responsibilities around the Tomorrow Matters campaign as we get set to launch. So I'm going to see the agenda here. We'll just give a quick project recap. Really don't want to spend a lot of time talking to everyone. Really what this is meant to be is a collaborative workshop, just to lay out our vision of how we see the pilot for Tomorrow Matters rolling out in the fall, and timelines and things like that, which we'll revisit. If you're on the call in June, you would have seen a lot of that high-level information. Revisiting that, and then really just focusing on making this a success. As you're probably aware, we're calling this a pilot because it's exactly that. We have the 6 buildings. We have reps from all 6 buildings that we're piloting this program with here on the call. And once this project is a success, the intention is that we take and you can use this as a national standard to roll out across all of Canada. So huge opportunity for everybody that's involved in this project to be right at the ground level of trialing this program out, refining it, making it excellent all the way through, and then really making an impact, certainly on the people that are, we're saying occupants, but of course, folks are working either very hybrid in the buildings, at home, cross section of that. So it's going to take everybody to make the pilot a success. And then we'll dive into some of the nitty gritty, the building awareness, which is really a lot go hand in hand with our group on the project team here, and you folks as well, building that awareness, creating the engagements being the key measures of what we're trying to do here around the Tomorrow Matters campaign, and get really clear about roles and responsibilities and next step. Because my goal for today is that you come away with having a clear understanding of exactly what we're asking of you, And at any point, if it's unclear, please raise your hand. We'll do everything we can to make sure that's extremely clear, because as I said, this today is beyond informational. It's meant to be a workshop collaboration, working together to make sure that we can pull off this pilot in the fall. So we've done, if you were on the call in June, a lot of work has been done over the summer to create content and go take the branding further. We're working on a digital program, which I'll touch on as well, but that's what we'll look to achieve here over the next hour and a half. So just a quick project recap, just to reset everyone of what we're trying to do here. And so we were brought on, CBCL is our group that was brought on to help BGIS implement a sustainable occupant engagement program. And so building off the great work that has happened over the last couple of years. So we have two main goals. We keep it really simple. The first goal is to increase engagement with this sustainability program. And if we're successful doing that, then we should also be successful decreasing waste and plastic use. So it's a sustainability program, but the focus of the pilot is very specific. We're focusing on waste and plastics and reducing those. We can go well beyond that. Of course, there's lots of other ways to think about sustainability, but we're keeping it simple for the pilot, focusing on plastics and waste. So the engagement piece, just drilling down a bit. So three things we're trying to accomplish here is improving awareness, knowledge, and action. And again, trying to keep it simple. So the variety of ways and means that we have to do that are all targeted around improving the awareness, knowledge, and action of decreasing waste and plastic use. I have mentioned in the past, but I'll mention it again now. So a lot of so my background is in organizational behavior and change management, and as is Kim's. So that's what we're bringing to the table here as we created this program to really pull on these change levers through a variety of different ways to be able to get people to get on board and engage them and then ultimately change behavior. And then around waste reduction, the goals there are reducing and diverting single-use plastics and waste, and reducing contamination of recycling and compost. And you'll see these goals and outcomes that we're trying to work towards will show up in the pilot as we go through each week by week. We have these as our main themes and call them and drivers to be able to achieve these goals. But we'll dig into all that in much more detail, but wanted to make sure we all recall why we're here and what we're trying to achieve. So the high level timeline, and you'll see it starts here June, July. We've already passed that. So what where we are right now is in this build mode. So we've done the planning, we've engaged leaders, implementation teams, sustainability champions throughout the springtime and into the summer. And now we're into build mode, which is creating the digital platform, which is happening in parallel to what we're doing today. Communications materials, and then planning activities. You'll see that we have that in bold, because that's really where you all come in, is to get the in-person activities off the ground. And then fall 2023, in a moment I'll show you even more detailed timeline of the fall and into the winter. So we'll run the 4-month pilot, and we're focusing on this education and engagement piece. And then in the winter, once we're done, right around the end of January, we'll take on a robust review process with certainly everybody that's on this particular call getting your feedback, not just at the end, all the way through. We have meetings built in as well to make sure we're iterating as we go. Always remember that this is a pilot. It has not been done before. We're building it, and we want it to be a success. So feedback in this process is critical all the way through. And then once we're finished, we'll provide some recommendations as to how we can make this a success nationally. And on the left, probably not a surprise to anyone, but just to reiterate, the 6 buildings that are involved in this pilot are listed on the left. So likely we'll see your building over there. So welcome to all the folks from each of those buildings. I don't see hands, Julie, so I'm going to keep talking in case anyone wants to jump in, ask questions. Please do.
Yep, no hands yet.
Okay, perfect. So just digging a bit closer on the timeline, and now it really becomes real. because here we are. It's the end of August. My first, I don't see my cursor or not, but this is the first green diamond, and that's where we are at this very moment, which is the engagement, getting socialization, and getting people on board with what's about to happen. We'll mention this again at the very end, certainly, but after today's meeting, ideally we have lots of discussion and collaboration about where this can go, but recognizing that each of the buildings have their own nuances and differences, we have follow-up meetings booked for next week. It'll be a little shorter, 45 minutes, but we really want to make sure that we're following up with each individual, each team, and then supporting you as much as possible to get activities off the ground. The focus,
and Rob,
yes.
And Rob, just to clarify that those follow-up meetings are with BGIS folks only, because we have to go through the logistics of supporting tenants as well, just to let you know. So a lot of this is a mixed group with tenants, volunteers, champions as well. So we need to, BGIS needs to get our ducks in a row to better understand how we can support the initiatives. So those are the follow-up meetings.
Great, thanks, Julie. And so we've been throwing out a couple of terms just with that, following up on Julie's comment. So, we've got a couple terms around implementation teams and sustainability champions. You'll see that pop up in a few different places here. And so really how we're defining it is implementation teams are the BGIS folks that are on the ground in your respective building that we're looking to take ownership of the activities on the ground and really support the launch of this, so own the launch within your particular building of the Tomorrow Matters campaign. Sustainability champions are volunteers, really. They're people that are passionate about sustainability and the environment and making a difference and really are vested in seeing this program as success. And so sustainability champions many have already raised their hands, many are already on this call, but we're looking more, we're looking to recruit lots more sustainability champions. So at any point, if you have somebody that you think would like to help out in whatever fashion that looks like, then that's the place for them to become a sustainability champion as part of this program, supporting the implementation teams to make sure that the activities and the engagement on the ground is a success. So in September, right before the launch, we'll have another meeting just to touch base. We may do that on an individual basis. We'll see how the next week and a half goes here with this workshop today and meetings next week. So we just want to make sure we're supporting as close as possible. So September we'll touch base again just to see how ready we are for the launch. So down below you see we have essentially 4 different time frames throughout the pilot. The first is the Join Us campaign. So this is the last 2 weeks of October, kicking off during Waste Reduction Week, or October 16th, and we'll have the outline of these dates a little later on in the presentation. The Join Us campaign to kick off, the purpose is getting people signed up and registered on the digital platform. More about that later. Then we'll break into individual themes. So plastics themes, so say no to plastics, then a waste theme, so reducing waste. Then after Christmas, holiday season, we'll come back and talk and have the theme of protect and don't contaminate. So as you said, we saw in these goals, these are our primary messages that we're looking to communicate to people and the focus that we have. So we'll drill down deeper in a bit, but those are that's the timelines for each of these themes. Our digital platform won't be ready because we're developing it essentially from scratch with Big Digital. Some of you might be familiar with the company Big Digital. Does a lot of work within Government of Canada buildings from digital signage primarily. And so they are our partner to develop the digital platform. Touch on that later, but it won't be ready until about ideally, hopefully early November, but we're preparing for potentially the 2nd or 3rd week of November, but we're pushing quickly to get that as ready as soon as possible. So the Join Us campaign will be really focused on boots on the ground, getting people signed up, getting emails registered into the digital platform, which we will be able to do ahead of the launch of the platform, and getting people excited and ready to engage with the program. And then, as I mentioned before, right around the beginning of February will be the time when the pilot will end. And we'll move into feedback and recommendation mode.
Any questions for Rob about the timelines? Now, the pilot will end. We won't stop everything. It will continue as long as we can, but our team will be moving into just a different direction rather than promotion. It's around assessment so we can give recommendations to PSBC.
Thanks, Julie. So we've been saying it right from the beginning, but certainly what we're trying to achieve here is a different type of engagement program. So yes, certainly we're looking at principles of human behavior and implementing those within the way that we've developed the program is a key component to it. And but really, in order for it to be a success, we really need enthusiasm and engagement from from certainly everyone on this call, but people on the ground as well, and getting people excited. And really, we see the way to do that is to communicate to people that this is really different than probably what they've seen in the past, as far as building awareness, knowledge, and action around sustainability. And so really in the past, we've seen a lot of buildings and programs and pushing information onto people. So maybe from an individual's standpoint, a bit more passive, you're just on receive mode and they may choose to receive or not the information that's being put forward. So what we're doing is shifting that to be more about the people and their actions, and then pulling people in. So getting people engaged and doing that from an active standpoint. So we're going to be using the brand. So we have emotional appeal, which we'll show you a bit more of the brand in a moment, providing that sense of purpose to people so they can really get on board with what the message is. And so the brand is crucial to achieving that. The digital component will be very new to a lot of people, and engaging using gamification and having people challenge their coworkers or their colleagues and friends to earn points, or using the digital platform, and then also learning and building that awareness along the way. So having some fun doing it as well is really what we're going for here. So having people participate and learn through a digital sense, and also we will have the gamification platform, but we also have a lot of other digital assets around a website that will provide the information and education on the website as well. We've got videos and a lot of other supporting materials and that we will provide you to support the work that you'll be doing on the ground, and then also for a place where people can go to get more information. So then what it really comes down to is the outstanding pieces on the right here, the people. And here I sit in my basement of my house in the Toronto area, far from all of you. And while I'm certainly will be striving to be on the ground to support. Our team can't be all places at once. So this is certainly where we need the involvement from everyone that's on this call in order to engage people. So bring champions on board, initiate and launch activities at your sites, and then the social reinforcement as well, which we'll talk about as well. But it's folks like yourselves that have the connections with other people on the ground that can bring them in and really build the enthusiasm at your location for this to make it a success. So really, if what I'm saying here is pillars of success are brand, digital, and people. The brand and digital, we've got that covered. We're supporting with brand and digital. It's the people piece that we really need your help with. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Kim, who's our communications and marketing specialist, to describe more about the brand. So we touched on brand, digital, and people. So I'm going to turn over to Kim, and she can walk you through how the brand came together and how we plan on using it.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. And I want to reiterate just how important it is to have people involved in this, so that it isn't just an information push. We really want to create some buzz around it and make it feel different for people. So when we were looking at this and we kind of identified those three pillars that we're going to differentiate this, that Rob just went through around the brand being the emotional appeal and the visual that's hopefully going to tie people together, and we'll build out the brand to really create that sense of purpose about why we're doing this and why it's important. And then the digital, and then the people. So the on the ground, to reinforce what we are doing here with the brand is that social connection that I think is really pivotal. And we want people to feel like they're a part of it, and we want to give them a reason to be part of it. So in the brand development, we actually, before we did the brand development, we went out and we had done some survey work, and we asked people what, how concerned they were about sustainability, and how willing they were to get involved in it. And so we took some of their answers and what was motivating them to really boil down some key messages about what we're trying to accomplish here with the brand, and to be able to make that connection to people. And, what we heard loud and clear was that it's about protection. It's about protecting their communities. It's about protecting things for the next generation. It's about protecting endangered species. It's about protecting air quality when we see smokes from wildfires. So those were the types of things that resonated. And what we wanted to do with the brand to create that emotional purpose for people was to help them identify visually, like through the words and through the visuals, with those moments and the environment and what it is that we're trying to protect. So the visuals that we're using through the brand are really about the environment and about the moment. And people are kind of secondary in it. We have people there, but we want people to feel like they can see themselves in this moment. And yeah, that's meaningful to me. And yes, I do want to protect that, because that is what's going to get them to take action. So the campaign positioning statement is about tomorrow matters. And so that really captures all of the reasons why we're doing this and gives them some purpose. And then we have the 4 different pillars of sustainability. So you'll see that each one has a different color codes and stuff like that we're using, and we won't get into that too much, but it's just about plastics, it's about reducing energy use, it's about sorting waste, and it's about conserving water. And those are the main areas, but we are focusing in this initiative on the plastics and on the sorting your waste, because there's just so much information on each of those topics. We want to really be able to boil it down and get some clear, tangible results from this. So the other thing on the emotional, sort of the thinking that went into this is around some of the keywords that came out from the team as we were thinking about what do we want this to accomplish. And those keywords were inspire. We want to inspire people. We want them to feel like they can make a difference. We want this to be something that's very motivational. We want to connect, and so that's the digital component, and the people component that we need to go through today as well is around connecting. And then we want this to feel like we're in it together, because sometimes people will feel like as an individual, I can recycle my bottle, but they might not feel like they're having big impact. And the impact comes when we when we're all working together and all of us are doing this, and then we can start to show some collective impact results. So that's what we were working towards to accomplish with the brand. And I think, as Rob mentioned earlier, we've been busy with a lot of development work on all of the different communications and how we're going to use this, so that when we come to you today, we've already got a lot of this underway, like well in development. So some of the pieces that we're working on are a video, and I'm not sure who's running the slides, but yeah, we'll flip to the next one. So the video, which is going to be, we've got these different themes that Rob went through, and the first one is Join Us, and that's all about creating that connection with people and the sense of purpose. So the video really does that, and it does it in a way that makes people feel like we're together on this, and there is meaning behind this. So we touch on some of the reasons why this is important with, like I said, severe weather, wildfires, things like that are going on that we want to be able to have some input and make some changes. And then we have the use of people. So through the video, you will hear some different voices and people telling little stories and quotes about what's important to them. And we're hoping that that will be relatable and that people will have an opportunity to think about their own purpose and what it means for them as well. So this will be part of the kickoff campaign. We will be getting people to sign up. Once they go on to the site to sign up, they will be able to link through to a website that we've built that has multiple pages, lots of content. And this is really where we're going to have all of the educational support and sort of what's going on in the campaign. So when people come in, they'll land on the left-hand side there. There's a sort of a landing page that highlights some videos, talks about what's going on this month. And then for each of the topics that we're going to cover, we're going to have a deeper dive with a lot of educational support so people understand, people who want the details are going to be able to get them on this website. So on there, we've got, sort of introduction to the issue. We've got some impact statistics, like sort of why it's important. So we'll use some statistics to help people understand the problem. And then we want to really be clear about what those actions are and what people can be doing to be part of the solution. And then at the bottom there, we've got some tips from your team. We do want to share some success stories and good news stories. So all of that will be, things that we will be adding into the site as we go. And we're hoping that, you as a group will be able to feed through some of those good stories for us where we can to highlight it and let people know that, what else is going on and that others are working at this and keep spreading the message.
And
okay.
Kim, just to add to that, what Kim is showing you is English. I am currently working on the French, en français. So we will have fully bilingual, and whether it be French, English, English, French, French only, English only, materials giving the teams different options for that. So I have put a link as well in the chat. For internal BGIS, you can see all of those bilingual requirements as they get developed are going to be posted there.
Awesome, thank you, Julie. And yes, and even just on the website, each month we're going to have, week by week topics that we will be communicating, and we'll be adding more information as we go. So these are just sort of the concepts that are in and the pages that we're going to get started with, and it will grow and build as we continue along through the pilot. Okay, so the website, you're going to access that the big digital, you can go to the next slide. The big digital platform is really where we want to be connecting, how we want to be connecting people. So we have the website, we've got all this great information. What we want to do is take chunks of that information and the actions and be pushing that out through this digital platform, but also using this platform as the connection point. So that whole pillar concept that we had around together, doing this together, is where this comes together. So it's social, and it's the recognition and motivation that some people might need. So as they're going through, they can do challenges, they can link to read materials, they'll be earning points along the way for whatever activities that they do. And so there is immediate motivation that comes from that, because they feel like they're doing something and they're getting that gratification that comes from participating in the game aspect of it. But there's also a bit of a social connection around, being a little bit competitive, and, they have some challenges, and they might have like individuals or teams on the leaderboard trying to earn more points by getting people to do more around sustainability. So it's all, it all works together, and it's all designed to drive the behaviors, but through the upfront brand connection point and awareness. But I think that's, we have next. Yeah, so, okay, there you go. The awareness part of it is what we need to talk to you about today. We've done a lot of background work to get the materials ready for you, and now we're hoping that you can help us with the on the ground and the specifics in your locations. So we've built out posters and digital. I should hand it over to you, Julie, because there's a lot of stuff there. But posters and digital boards, T-shirts, banners, things that you might be able to use in your locations. There's going to be artwork and a whole toolkit for you to be able to order these different items in English and French. And so then the next step is for you guys to take that and to be thinking about, okay, what does this look like for you on the ground at your location? So we're hoping that you can take a look at sort of the specifics, and you can be thinking about how can you create visibility and maybe be a little bit creative about how we do that. And then also make sure that we're planning ahead and getting items, printed and ordered and doing everything that we need to do in the next little month and a half or whatever to make sure things are moving forward and are ordered in time so that you're ready to go by the time that we get to the actual pilot kickoff with Waste Reduction Week. So I think from there, we were just going to say, let's look at this around thinking big and thinking how can we differentiate this? How can we do things a little bit different to get some more buzz around this campaign? Because what we really want to make sure is that people are scanning and signing up, because all of that information push comes once we get them connected through the digital platform. So the awareness to be able to get them connected is really, really important. And this is where, okay, we know that each building is different, and you have different budgets and different, opportunities, what you can and can't do. But we had the team send in some photos of the locations, and we're just putting out some ideas here just to say, what is possible? And can we get creative about this and really create some buzz and do things a little bit differently when we're rolling it out? So there's a couple of ideas there. This is a big one. There's a big wall there. Maybe we could hang a banner down. Maybe we could do some wall wrap. Maybe there are ways that we can just have some impact and get that message out to people. And you'll see there the recycling center is at the bottom of that. So it's really about focusing everything down to the points of action where people are actually doing what we want them to be doing, and having awareness in those locations. The other one I think you were going to just flip to there is, in addition to that, we do want to recognize that there are places and different locations in the building where you might already see people that are doing the right things. So for example, in the bike room, people are already potentially riding to work. That's great. And those are the type of people that will sort of step up to a program like this and potentially do more. So we want to hit them where in those points where they're already going to be recognized for what they do. So there you've got the QR code on the wall. Maybe there's a floor decal or something like that just brings the brand to those key points where they're thinking about it. And then I think the other one is just, again, culturally, sort of tomorrow matters. That's an opportunity to just very subtly and respectfully build in the message around what Tomorrow Matters stands for, is having these places and having this recognition. So, there's opportunities to potentially put window wrap on, or just think a little bit differently about those types of centers and locations. And then this one is just the panels for the recycling center. I think Julie is looking after coordinating, being able to order those. So you can get the Tomorrow Matters brand right in those recycling stations, and also to have the visuals through the Oscar source. I think digital work is being done as well. I don't know, Julie, if you wanted to jump in on that at all on this slide.
Sure. The integration with Oscar is a Katie item. So Katie, want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So the Oscar sorts, they They just display some temporary messages when they're not actually instructing users on how to sort their waste. So during those periods, we can have displays on the Tomorrow Matters brand displayed right on the Oscar display.
And below are the posters created by Clean River, who is a supplier of these of the recycling centers, like we call them MMRCs. And a really good price point on a poster is like $75. I'm working on getting quotes and instructions for the contract we already have with Clean River to provide those posters. And everything else you see, we're working with an Indigenous provider, Anish Branding, in Ottawa to get all of the other elements and a good toolbox for you to say, well, I want a pop-up banner. I want to, my client PSBC said, okay, I can do some giveaways. We got some great bags or mugs, or we have stickers for water bottles. So there's multiple ways we can get this message across. One thing we are missing, just FYI, is the QR code for the link to Big Digital engagement platform. So that's one piece we are waiting for. Some of the pieces will be missing that, and they're going to come in the form of stickers. So more to come on that.
Awesome. And I think that sort of outlines just some of the inspiration that we were hoping to share with you today. And again, what we really want to focus on is what are the possibilities? So we've got as much as like a lot of stuff that we can draw from, but we need to tap into your local expertise, your ideas, and just how else can we get this word out. And we will talk about activities after this. At this point, we're just thinking about the awareness and the visuals and making sure that we're getting people signed up. So with that, Rob, I'm not sure if you want to jump in here. Or...
Yeah, definitely. I'll jump in here. Thanks, Kim. And so you'll see the question here is like, what ideas do you have for visibility at your location? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and we've been doing a bunch of talking for the first little bit, but what I'd love to do is just kind of to hear from you. So yes, certainly, as my question posed, is like, what other ideas for visibility might you have at your building? But also just checking in, because we've been saying, we've been giving you the overview here of where we're going, and would love to hear some thoughts, reactions to the brand and how the signage and what you might need, just what thoughts that you might have at this point, and or again, ideas that might be popping into your mind as we've been talking. So anybody would like to jump in there? We'd love to hear from you.
And if I hear a gap in, I will fill it, okay? So
thanks, Julie. I was getting awkward. I was getting awkward there for a second.
Okay, so everyone, we do need your help. If this is a challenge, let us know. A lot of the items we're putting in play are going to be cost effective as well. We want to be able to order items. Good example, Complex Ski Favreau. Before we started this program, we have a nice pop-up banner. So maybe we have a nice new pop-up banner to complement the other one, Ishraq, en français only. And I've designed all of those in French only, English and French and English. Most of our sites outside of Complex Ski Favreau is in Ottawa, so we can do that. Also, intranet, we have the bike room. That's I think that's the picture is Lester B. Pearson bike room. Okay, any other ideas? We're gonna, what do you think we can do? Do you think you can support us? Because we want to launch in October during Waste Reduction Week. Should I put people on the spot? Okay, I'm gonna put people on the spot. Okay. Céline?
Yep, we
comprendre.
can. Oh,
On a deux
yeah.
Céline, je pense.
Oh, ben,
Go ahead.
which one? Laquelle, Céline, Julie?
Oh, sorry, two Célines?
Yeah.
Sorry, Girard, sorry.
Yeah, c'est moi, c'est moi. Of course, we'll help our tenants in any way we can. I love the idea. I love the idea of the brochures and that. So yeah, I'm not really good at inventing and creating, but I'll assist whenever I can. Our team too, I'm sure.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Lynn. That's great.
Great ideas. I love the ideas.
I appreciate your comments also in the sense that it's kind of hard brainstorming sometimes with a group of the number that we have on the call. So appreciate the comments, but also to your point, Celine, that's kind of what we're going for here is that we have, we have this concept of foundational and flexibility. So what we're showing you is like the foundation is the brand, it's the digital, it's the activities and the engagement. But we certainly recognize that each building is different, and you have different resources, as we've said already. And so we're here to work with you to adapt the foundational in order to adapt it to your location and what's achievable there. So certainly we have we're trying to create this national standard. That's the purpose of the pilot, but also build in flexibility. So it's not 100% prescriptive where you must do A, B, C, D, E. It's okay, here's what we're working with. How do we make it work for you? And that's what we're trying to get across. So I appreciate where you're coming from, Celine. As far as the creativity department, that's not my expertise either. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it's like, as you said, maybe there's spots in your building that you're like, oh yeah, we could do something there. So like coming up with that. And then really what I'm trying to do is, if you can share it, even if it's like, okay, I can do it here, sharing it with this group now, or in order to try to spark some other thought-provoking ways of how do we get this message across through each of the buildings, and again, whether it's standardized or just specific to your building. It's really what we're trying to get out.
Well, in our
Sure.
case, we have a link, but it's not like other buildings where they have a lot of people entering and exiting the building. But we our clients justice. I don't see anybody unfortunately on the call right now, but they're they have a sustainability team, and we're there to help. They're great. So, and of course, Julie and Kate Lee are great backups. They help us whenever we call them. They're there. They help us. So.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Okay. I'm going to ask the other Celine from PSBC, from as a client or as a tenant. What are your thoughts? Do you think doing a program like this in the building is going to make a difference? And what are your thoughts?
It will certainly make a difference. We were actually looking at purchasing the Oscar for that building, and I believe it was a bit costly, or it was not available. I was not part of the purchasing part of it, but I know it's one of the plan that we have to have one installed in the buildings. But I love the publicity. We'll do anything that we can to promote this within our building, for sure.
So then what building are you in?
We're in Shediac, the pension
Shediac.
center.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll work with the site team on the Oscar there.
Perfect, thank you.
And Tanner's on, and I figured it was Shediac because it was for a smaller building like Shediac, the cost is can be a little prohibitive, and we had looked at other solutions last year, Celine, and around communicating, sorting your waste. They did not work out. But Tanner, what are your thoughts for Shediac? Because you have Shediac was chosen because of its small size.
Yeah, hey everyone. My thoughts are more in terms of, I just had a tenant meeting with the tenants from Shediac this morning, and they discussed the engagement program before I even brought it up in the meeting. So basically, like, my engagement seems to already be there, and they're just kind of waiting on the go-to and the next steps, right? So my major concerns just comes in what's the timeline here? Like, what is the expected timeline? Because my building seems ready to make changes like tomorrow, right? So.
Oh, and what a great question. Whew, we like those kind of questions because we're ready to go. Honestly, literally, I'm just working with the branding company to get some messaging out, and you just need to choose from your catalog. So we have a follow-up meetings with you next week where we can say, well, what do you want? What's going to work for you? If Oscar didn't work for you, there are other digital solutions as well. And we can look at that as well. We could look at posters, print, and just to let you know, we're looking for sustainable options. For a lot of the vinyl we're looking at is recycled, using recycled plastic. So, so there's lots of different options. So Tanner, when we meet next week, we'll be able to address some of that. We're ready to go in about a week and a half.
That's great news. Thanks, Julie.
Okay, Kim?
Yeah, no, it's Kim. And yeah, I just wanted to check in on that because a big part of the brand and the sign up is about the sign up and having all of the support material to go with it. So I think we'll get the most bang if we can package it together and implement it as one launch.
But
so I'm not sure
yeah.
So, sorry.
By the time you order your pop-up banner, we'll be done the rest of the stuff. So we need to make the orders for the material in order for us to start timing it. So we're ready to go with that launch time. So the launch is going to happen in October around specific things. We have some material coming up, and I think I'm going to creep into Rob's next steps, right? Am I? So this is what's coming up next. Anybody have any other feedback?
Yeah.
Oh, I see another hand.
Hand up there.
Tom? Oh, Soren.
Here I am. Hey guys.
Soren.
Yeah, so just thought of maybe you're kind of answering my question, Julie. So is the plan that we'll have a one-on-one meeting to look at the specifics for our building and then kind of individually select which branding options we want to go with? My thinking is just around some of the like, given the fact that we have Oscar units in place that are EcoGAC branded and working together on how to, I obviously don't want to dilute, like our screens are already showing EcoGAC digital messaging and that sort of thing. So of course don't want to dilute that messaging, but I also fully support. I mean, the stuff you guys are coming up with is awesome. So just checking in that we'll have the opportunity to kind of dial that in to specific areas, I guess.
Yeah, and for example, you know, we with Lester B. Pearson, we kind of sometimes cross over into 111. So we have the digital screen there, so we can utilize some of the information there as well. So I'll be working on that because we only have digital screens in 111 and Complex Guy Favreau and CD House. So we'll be working on those pieces as well, and those are run by Big Digital.
Okay, so you wouldn't be looking to use like internally networked, like let's say Global Affairs Network digital signage?
Oh yeah. Oh,
because we do like at
125.
125 there is we do it's the same conversation where it's already very heavily EcoGAC branded, and we do all our plastic reduction messaging on using those digital boards. There's a big one in the cafeteria, for example. And anyway, that's more of a one-on-one conversation, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, just thinking through how the process would look. But we have opportunities to use some of our internal network too, right, to promote this.
Okay, great. So we can develop that as part of the toolkit.
Sounds good.
I'll jump in very quickly, Rob. I know we need to get back to you, but getting everybody, like the branding and everything that we're doing is really focused so much on the people and the behaviors part of it and getting people connected to that digital. So that'll be new and different, just in terms of branding and thinking about it. There might be a way to just sort of shift into the pilot while the pilot's running, because it is that different digital capability than what you've had with the challenges and all that stuff. So we'll figure that out. Sorry, I'll let you go, Rob.
That's good. I was going to say something similar, Kim, which is like, yeah, we just think we just need to coordinate that, Soren. So we'll do that on our individual time set for next week to do that.
Awesome.
Great. Okay, I will dive back into some slides here just to set up the next part of the conversation. So really what we're trying to drive towards is the activities now. So we've talked about the timeline, the goals, the visuals, the signage, and like so we'll get more specific when we have our one-on-one conversations next week with each group. But really, these are the two asks: support the visuals and the awareness piece, and then the engagement piece. So I'm just going to share my screen again. So I have to do that. And so this is the first part, as we talked about, was the awareness side. So now it's creating the engagement. And so the ask is, this is a high level overview of the timeline. And so the theme, the time frame, what we're trying to accomplish from a high level during that theme, and then what we're asking of you during each of these themes. So this is probably right to the point of what we're talking about. So starting, we already talked about each of the themes and talked about you can take a look at the time frame we're talking about. So just to start with the Join Us campaign, this is a really critical 2 weeks right at the launch point. We've just been talking about it, and with the primary goal of getting people registered. Certainly, we'd love to achieve all kinds of other goals, which is building that engagement and awareness, but and getting the brand across. All those things will happen in parallel. But the goal is to get people signed up for the digital platform, and that's going to be the conduit to be able to get our messages out on from the digital platform, which includes the website, the videos, the information, the education that's going to reside on the website, and of course the challenges that we're developing, the challenge platform we're developing with Big Digital. So on the Join Us campaign, and this is like if we step away from today's call and we take away one key point, it's really around the planning for the registration event itself. And because we're talking about the week of October 16th to 17th and being ready for that event. And so what that looks like, it can look like a lot of different things on the ground, but we're talking about boots on the ground, people at the door, having a mechanism with QR codes and encouraging people to sign up for the registration event itself. And so that week of October 16th to 20th is already Waste Reduction Week. So there's a lot of already a lot of information being put out there around that. So having a sign up event on in your location with folks, probably sustainability champions and the implementation teams hand in hand, having people there to encourage people as they walk through the door to sign up. There'll be other ways of getting people to sign up as well through email. They'll go out, but we as we said at the outset, this campaign is all about people and having that connection, recognizing that not everyone is going to walk through the door, but certainly lots of folks, Tuesday to Thursday especially, are going to walk through the door. So having people to greet them and promote the campaign, signage in place, and getting people registered on the platform will be the main push for that week. I'm just going to go back a couple slides here, back to this overview. And so I don't want to get into all of the nitty gritty on each of these themes because we're talking about February and to wrap up. So really want to focus on being ready for that registration event. And then today, just also letting you know what the plan is for what we're looking to during the other themes as well. So you see plastics, pretty straightforward. Reduce the primary goal: reduce plastic use. Then waste theme: reduce waste. Then protect is reducing waste contamination. So on the right-hand side, what's needed from you? Talked about the registration event for the Join Us campaign, getting people involved. That's probably your sustainability champions. Another concept that we have is a graffiti board. This is the point to take away is that perhaps if you have an area that you could have folks come in and put sticky notes or other ways, maybe it's erasable markers on a large whiteboard. What we're trying to do is get people to get engaged and buy into the concept and just asking the question, why does tomorrow matter to you? People have all kinds of different reasons, of course, why that matters. So just getting people active and engaged at the outset of the campaign, getting them excited is really critical to the success of the campaign. This next slide is, you can see it's a cut and paste from an Excel spreadsheet. It's not meant to go through this, but what I want to convey here is that we're doing a lot of work in the background from a planning perspective, and we have a communications and messaging script that we will have available to everyone, as it pertains to you and the role you're having, to be able to support you. So all of this, we're in the background supporting you. The cadence to messaging from an email standpoint, which you'll see here, is Mondays. We kick off with an email on the Monday of the week and saying, hey, here's what's happening this week. Here's the key things to get involved in. Here's the digital challenges you can take part in. And then at the end of the week, the Friday roundup message is, great week. Here's what happened. Here's any activities that took place. Here's some statistics from the digital campaign, and here's some success stories. It's really what we're trying to convey. So that's the cadence throughout the 4 months of the campaign. And then in the middle of the weeks, you'll see things here like the activities. So for your purposes, really, we'll go through them in more detail as we get closer. But if you focus on those activities, that's the ask to you, is to grab hold of the activities and bring them to life on your location with our support. So I already took a quick look at this slide, which is, and again, I don't really want to get in, I'd rather spend time talking with everyone rather than just sharing this, but I think it's important just to get that a sense of the level of detail that we're putting into this in the background to make sure that everyone's on the same page, being supported properly. And really key to all this is that the messages are the same from one site to another. So lots of building in the past, buildings and groups have done different campaigns, but what we're trying to do here is bring everyone together under one brand and message, so that everyone's receiving the same message and pulling together.
As well, too, you had the T-shirts there. We're thinking of having our ambassadors for those buildings that have ambassadors. We can order some T-shirts for the ambassadors. So and I'm thinking of a set of those T-shirts, and because if we order for Quebec, we may need to have French first. So and we have to do a pool of T-shirts. So that's something I have in the design already, and we are looking at those as well.
Great, thanks, Julie. And I think the T-shirts are going to be an important part of it as well from the brand perspective. So you can see the level of professionalism that's going into the campaign as well, and that it's we're really all looking to get people signed up and excited about it. The Say No to Plastics, again, I'm not going to go through all of this in particular, but now we'll see in the Say No to Plastics theme on the right-hand side, the digital challenges, and these are examples of the types of digital challenges that we're creating throughout the campaign. So also important to note here is that each week, once we kick off with the plastics theme, each week we'll have a sub-theme. So you can see a week of October 30th, the problem with plastics. And so therefore the message is all interwoven, supported by the digital challenges, supported by any activities that are taking place. So it's really clear, and this is behavioral science 101, is just reaffirming that message over and over again through different mechanisms. So we've got the video that we'll talk about, Say No to Plastics. We have the website with the information. We have a plastics quiz through the digital piece. We'll have getting people to sign up is another type of a digital challenge. So all reaffirming one another. And then, as you can see, there are different sub-themes each of the 4 weeks for the plastics. To see here, again, desired behaviors. What are we trying to get people to do? Listed here. So again, that's the sub-theme leads into the desired behavior supported by the activities and events and the digital challenges. So during the Plastics Week, the one you could take note of here is on the week of November 13th, we are asking each site to have a No Plastics Week event. And you're like, well, that's a little ambiguous, Rob, and it can be, because this is where we'll dig into this with each of the individual discussions we'll have. But a No Plastics Weeks event, in our mind, what we see that is similar to perhaps the launch, where you have people in location, providing education, information, getting people to sign up, and just having that on the ground presence to be able to push the message to people that are open and willing to engage as well. We have giveaway. Of course, we don't want to give away plastics, so we're going to we're not looking to generate waste, of course, in this as well. But from educational material, things we can take away, pushing the digital as much as possible. So that's you'll also see here one event during the Say No to Plastics theme. So those 4 weeks, the ask is to have to launch one event per theme. So the Join Us campaign, have that launch, having one the 3rd week of Say No to Plastics, reduce waste, coming close to the holiday season. Here you'll see the event we're proposing is a sustainable holiday education event. So in the same vein as the plastics, but specific to the notion that teams within location are probably looking to have a team event where everybody gets together, and maybe it's a potluck, or maybe it's takeout, and then having this the Tomorrow Matters campaign supporting those team events. So we're not asking you to organize those team events. We're asking you to support those team events through an education event and being present perhaps and where you can, or just supporting with materials with the goal of minimizing waste during those events and saying no to plastics as much as possible. So of course the holiday season is notorious for generating a ton of waste, and so you can see how the messages here are interwoven to get people to think differently about how they think about the holidays, think about gifts and packaging and waste. And so you can see that interwoven through each of these, and then again, different types of digital challenges that will support each of those sub themes. And then our last theme, which will occur, we have as you can see here, going back one, we'll have the last week of December, which I'm sure many of you were saying to yourselves is like nobody's at work December 18th, perhaps until the new year. Understand that for sure. So the concept of reducing waste that last week of just before the Christmas time is thinking about it at home, sharing with loved ones, sharing with others. You have gained a bunch of knowledge around waste reduction and plastic reduction. So the challenge being share it with others. Get that you're not at work, but it certainly doesn't need to end there. And we'll kick things back off in the new year with the Protect and Don't Contaminate theme. And so that will take us essentially right through January, and with themes of protecting recycling efforts, everything that we've been working towards, and then how do we shore it up? How do we protect it and get those messages across? And then finishing off with changing the disposable mindset, thinking about circular economy. The digital challenge is out with the old, which is the concept of find something in your house that can be reused or recycled in a way that you typically haven't thought about. So challenging yourself to participate in that circular economy. And then the event that we're proposing for the Protect Week is a digital yard sale. So similar to that concept of the circular economy, is that how can we share like a yard sale in digital. You also have an in-person one as well. Just thinking of people lugging things to the workplace doesn't always get a lot of buy-in. So doing it digitally is probably a better way to go. There's another activity at the beginning of January that we're recommending, and it could be at any point really. Just looking to space things out for those buildings that do have OSCAR. Just getting people familiar with OSCAR. It fits in really nicely with our Protect, Don't Contaminate theme. And so having an opportunity to showcase OSCAR to tenants and occupants of the building, and it's a great time to do it. Already seen this picture, so just thinking about the possibilities. There's an image of the graffiti board that could look like a lot of different things and others within your building. Like I said, maybe it's a big wall that you have available that people can write on. They can wash off at a later date, or if it's just sticking up sticky notes. Another way, just getting people to engage with the Tomorrow Matters campaign. So here we are. We just that's really the slides that I have for everyone here. We're at 2:35, so we've got about 25 minutes just to kind of take stock and answer questions, get some ideas out there. Really, what we'd like to get an understanding of is and we've heard from Celine and Tanner already, is what we're proposing achievable, at your building. If you're feeling like, oh, this is kind of like, I'm not so sure about it, please let us know, because we're here to, what we want to do is work with you to be able to get this off the ground and be successful. So if there's barriers that you're seeing now would be the time to voice them, because there's likely is that folks in other buildings are also feeling maybe similar because of demanding resources and things. So love to be able to talk through them now, and so we can try to overcome them before we hit, when things kind of get really ramped up in September and then October when we launch. So that's really what I want to talk about with everyone is, how achievable is this, and other ideas for awareness, engagement, coordination. We talked a bit about that, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and go back to the conversation mode.
I'm going to jump in here, Rob, because we typically need about 4 weeks to order anything. So can we get going? We need to order stuff sooner than later, because for it to time for the middle of October, we need to start making those decisions pretty quickly. So one of the key things we need to do sooner than later is what type of, Soren just said, get us some information for our screens. They have a lot of mechanisms already at Lester B. Pearson, and it's also there's a lot of building going on, so there might be not an opportunity to put up a pop-up banner, but the bicycle room, great. We could do digital signage or prepare digital images for their signage. We can do lots of different things for that specific building. So really let us know if there's things that we need to order. If you have an ambassador, I'd highly encourage that we get them t-shirts. So let us know what sizing that you need and how many ambassadors you have, etc. So these are the things that we will need to know in the next bit, and that's why we have the meeting scheduled with the property team next week to go through the individual items. Now, I've just been looking at the chat. There's some great ideas, putting posters by the EVCS stations, absolutely, because usually the drivers of those cars are the ones that we want to engage with as well. So positioning is going to be important as well. Any other ideas? Anybody want to hop on and let us know what they're thinking? Katie?
Yeah, I wanted to draw a bit more attention to the images that Kim and Rob were displaying in the presentation. They had done some overlays on some of the images of the existing buildings that I thought were really, really cool. Like at CD Howe, the wrapping of the elevator to attract attention to the program, and the full wall wraps to that point directly to the MMRCs, the mixed material recycling centers, with direct intentional messaging. So things like that, I think that's really inspiring to me, being the sustainability manager, and also things that I would really like to support, ideas I would really like to support and drive in the building. So if you can see that in your building on a wall somewhere, let us know too. Let us know whatever you can imagine.
Great point. And one thing, like for example, at CD Howe, we have other wall wraps, other greening. We're working on Indigenous stuff there as well. So we have a lot of ongoing projects, and they need to be coordinated together. And that's probably why we do need to meet with you. If they're knocking down a wall, if there's a project going on, if the entrance is closed. So we're looking for more flexible solutions, as well as this is a pilot project as well. So any thoughts at all?
Yeah, I'm really curious. Anything else to praise? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just reading Marianne's comment here in the chat. So anything else to praise individuals to engage in sustainable behaviors? Yeah, that's a great point, Marianne. And like, we really see the opportunity in those Friday roundup emails for one, as one way of doing it, so that we can, recognize people as soon as possible when we get those success stories. If you're thinking about, like on the ground, something, yeah, using the Oscar or the waste, the MMRCs, appropriately, really open to ideas. I think that's could be like a resourcing thing on the ground. So open to ideas there as well. But recognition is certainly built into this program, because we're not actually giving away prizes. We can't do that with the restrictions with the project. Is be able to give monetary rewards or things like that. So recognition and is going to be really important to behavior change here. So
And Céline Girard has, yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Just a quick question regarding the points and the recognition. Is that per individual, or will that be tallied per building? Because sometimes, when they sign up as a group, it might help.
Definitely with you in this. So there's individual based one, and then team based is the other way. So the folks will be able to, they could do it as an individual, but to your point, what we want is people to get their colleagues and friends signed up, create a team name. And so while the points will still be tracked individually, one team, say, 6th floor of CD Howe could challenge 5th floor as an example. So creating those teams, and then that's really the motivation and the driver for competition and challenges is to create those teams. So that's the two ways they'll be tracked.
Okay, thanks. I might have missed that. Okay.
Oh, no problem. I don't think we probably spelled that out. So great question. We have lots of other ways we would love to be able to slice and dice the team. So, building versus building, but that's a bit beyond the scope of this pilot project. That's what we're hoping to be able to achieve down the road. But for now, it's team creation and individual based. Kim, you get your hand up there.
Yeah, I just was going to further on that question about whether or not there are other ways to recognize people who are doing the right behaviors. And one of the things that we'd like to include are these success stories. And they might be individuals, it might be teams, it might be, I don't know, just people being involved. So we can post stories on the website and share information and stuff like that, just about, some successes and the right behaviors. And so I'm not sure, Julie, if there's any sort of restrictions on identifying people, but we can share the stories that way, right?
Yeah, no, we don't. We've done it before. We did it like with CD Howe as well with some of the tenants, because they have a reuse center at CD Howe. So, and I'm just looking at Ryan. You can set up coffee, hot chocolate stations for a 2-week period prior to the launch, where there are no paper cups available. I like that. Clients or employees of the building must have their own empty mugs to fill up their chosen beverage. By the second week, people, so give them free coffee. That's what you're saying. I like that idea. That we might be able to do, actually. That's
yeah, that's a great idea. Low cost and high impact.
Yeah, and it's Graham, if you're in the office at CD Howe, see if do you still have the coffee provider there in the building? If you do, we should, I'll reach out, because I can purchase coffee and say, bring your reusable cup for free coffee. I like that. Any other great ideas?
Care to comment on just how they're feeling about the ask of supporting the signage and planning and implementing activities on a monthly basis? Is that feel achievable at this point? There's probably some assumptions built in, like that we will provide the support, but I'm just really curious, and if anyone wants to voice how they're feeling about the ask.
I'm going to put some people on the hold on the spot. I'm just going to see. Hold on.
Yeah, and Julie, the other thing too is like it's we have our follow-up meetings next week, so sometimes it takes some time to digest everything. So but certainly up to you if you want to ask some folks that you know better than I do.
Sure. In Ishraq, I know we're planning an event in September, which is a little early. What are your thoughts for Complex Guy Favreau? I know Vanessa's not on, so what's your thoughts?
Hello?
Hello, yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, because like I feel like muted. Okay, good. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. First of all, for September 6th, I'm gonna let you know how it goes, and I think from then on we can schedule more event occasionally, and we're gonna speak with Vanessa about it. But we're gonna use the same template, like the communication newsletter, and the same. And we can even ask during the event. I can ask the survey the occupants. What do they think about it? Like, are they okay or pro to do more event like that? What's the topic they are interested in? I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I like that, and we can get them to sign up. The sign up form. Okay, so I'll get that translated.
We can work on this like after the meeting tomorrow or next week, and we can like talk more about it.
Because you're going to have a willing audience on that date. So the newsletter is the one that we're going to use is going to not highlight because we're not ready there, but it's ready to go. I need to finalize the translation. But you know, it'll get people interested because it's very focused on plastics, and then we can do the survey and get people added. So Rob, that might be, and Kim, a great opportunity to get more participants in September because it's probably the area that we you know, we get lots of participation from Complex Guy Favreau, but it's a multi-tenanted site as well, so it's always hard to figure out which tenants want to do more.
And Julie and Ishrak, feel free to include me on any meetings you want.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kitty.
No problem.
Is your hand up, Kim?
Oh, you're on mute.
I would love to hear reactions from the locations about actually having people at the doors to try to, you know, it's almost like market research team, right? Like, hey, I'm here with my tablet. Have you seen? Are you going to sign up? Let me just get you signed up. Or
those?
How does that fit with the locations? How do you feel about doing that? And do you think you'll be able to coordinate people that way?
The only way we can do that is if we have an ambassador. That's the only way. Or if we have a tenants services coordinator, experience coordinator. So in some CD How we have that. I think we have to ask about the ambassadors. So we'll know if we have an ambassador to be able to do that. Okay. A good example is Céline Girard. We don't have one at your buildings, do we?
No, we don't.
No, because it's not a busy building, and that's why we picked it. It's not a busy in and out building. So, you know, maybe, hey, quick question. Here's a thought, just thinking. With the technicians, we used to have drop cards for, you know, when they're doing work and they're finished. If I recreate a drop card for the technicians and include something on that, would that be helpful? Do you think we would use that?
We could. We could. You mean like when they go see the tenants after service calls and?
Yeah, after that. I don't think we use the drop cards. I haven't ordered them in years, but we used to. Because it was a waste. I didn't want to waste paper.
Yeah. It could work, but typically we usually do we usually address maybe sometimes over the phone as well. So
yeah.
Let me think about something too.
Yeah, can you sleep on that one? Because it's, I know with your sister at CPC we used to do the drop cards a lot more. But I'm not sure with your building if we're doing that. And the technicians are the other way, but they're usually in and out. They want to fix a problem. So, but if you can think about that and maybe even ask your MTL, how do we get people to participate? Maybe he has some ideas.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Any?
Anyone else with just thinking about what Kim was asking, if there's how they're thinking about the registration?
Yeah, so Kim, it's technician or the ambassador or the tenant experience coordinator. They're the only ones like physically around to do that, walking around the building. So those are the key pieces. And if we remember that, to kind of say, well, how do we put something in their hands? And even if they don't have a tablet, we can give them a picture of the form to join us. And all they do is download it to the thing and they say, here it is. Here you go. Or we have a little cheat sheet for the ambassador and their clipboard.
Perfect.
We'll get more details. I think that's going to be key.
Yeah, it's the challenge of getting people, right? And that we've got the digital, we've got the brand, we can do all sorts of awareness and we can connect them, but we've got to get them, feeling like that, so we put the social pressure on that this is important and you need to get involved, and it's through people connections that is going to really come to life.
And a good example is Shediac. We don't have anyone on site. It's the PSBC pension center, so they have people on site. So we will have to ask for their help. Okay, so that's something we can work towards. Absolutely. So, it depends. Each building is so different, and this is our challenge, right? So, if we prepare a package for, Jolene, go ahead.
I'm just from Shediac, so I thought I'd just chime in that we do have a green team. That's an active green team in Shediac, obviously supporting all 3 of our locations here, not just the 10 Welton Street location. So we were talking maybe about getting them involved, but it's kind of our first meeting about this information because we didn't get an invite to the July one, and not saying anything, just we didn't see the first part of this. So it's kind of a first kick at us. So we're going to go and speak with them and see if they want to get involved.
Absolutely. I met with them years ago when we kicked off pre-pandemic. So they're very actively engaged. If we cross over the buildings, don't worry too much about that. It's more participation. Worry less about, one building versus another.
Well, we want to do it across the board anyways, because we do have a lot of movement between teams. So even if you work in a leased facility, doesn't mean a month from now that you're not going to be in the Crown-owned building. So we want to make sure that everyone is aware and participates in the initiative. That's
perfect. We have the same issue with 111 and 125 Sussex and Ottawa. People go between. So don't worry too much about building locations. Right now, it's just the indicator because people are moving between buildings, by the way, Rob and Kim. It's just one of the challenges, and go back and forth. And that's Shediac is another example. So absolutely, I've asked Tanner to invite me to the next tenant meeting. I will have more information for the tenant green team meetings, and maybe we can schedule something with the green team. I'd love to see them again and meet them again.
See if we can make that work.
Absolutely, because we need your help. We can't do this on our own. Shediac is a good example. We have no one on site.
Well, like Céline said, we are excited about it because it's something that we've been talking about for more than a year already anyways, so.
Oh, good. We're here to help, and the ideas are yours. We can blend them in, bring them in. So, we want that creativity and that excitement. So that's wonderful.
Great. Well, it might be a good place to, unless anyone else has anything they want to add, we can just touch on the next steps. Anyone else want to jump in before we, like nobody's, yeah, let's wrap up. Let's go. Okay, perfect. So I did have a slide, but I'm not going to bring it back up for the purposes. It was just a next step slide with two next steps, and we've been touching on them a bunch here already. So the first one is planning and preparing for these activities and the signage. So starting to think about it, as Katie pointed out eloquently, is like thinking about where you might be able to get banners and posters in your location, and doing that in advance of, which is the second next step, is the follow-up meeting, which we have. Julie sent out invites for next week. She mentioned who were going to be on those. So Julie, maybe you want to just touch on, because I just want to make sure that if people aren't going to be at the follow-up meeting next week, they have a mechanism to be able to share their ideas and thoughts with the the representatives for that location.
Yeah, each of the follow-up meetings are with.
Each of the follow-up meetings are with.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting feedback. Okay, I shouldn't have that feedback. Okay, each of the follow-up meetings, I've, for example, for Lester B. person, I've invited Soren. Soren's used to dealing with us. It's just one person we need to go through. I think I need, for depending on the building, we need to kind of better understand our team requirements a little bit better. So I'm going to we'll meet with Tanner and Katie, the other Katie, for Shediac, and then we'll book a meeting with the tenant and the green team. So that's might take several steps before we get there. So it may not be one meeting, and I can do most of it as long as we have that first meeting, Rob, with the property team. It's yeah.
All right, so yeah, the main next steps is, like, based on what we talked about today, is wrapping your head around it in order to wrap poles and things signage wise. So that's step one, and then step two is having that on the ground discussion specific to your location, thinking about the signage and what you need for support, and engaging people, and essentially the implementation itself. So what that's going to look like and how we can support beyond what we've already been talking about, from materials and communication pieces and et cetera. So that's really where we sit now. So October 16th is going to come really fast. We all know that. And so here we are, end of August in essence. And so there's lots to get done. As Julie said right at the get-go, it's now. So we're planning for these events now to make sure it's a success. If it's if we get limited engagement, and limited registration, enthusiasm, the pilot is unlikely to be a success because it's all about the people. And if it's we get the enthusiasm, engagement, and support from all of you and the folks that are there to support you, then certainly this will be a smashing success, I'm sure. And as we said, we get to be part of the ground floor of the Tomorrow Matters campaign. And we see this as being, the message that we can drive sustainability changes well into the future, and in order to looking to support the goals of the government of Canada as well. Really, this is what we're trying to achieve here for net zero 2035. So thank you, everybody, from my part. And Julia, if you want to close out.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your feedback. We need your help. It'll take a lot of effort for us to start this engagement, and we're really interested in finding out what occupants want to do, making it exciting to go to work as well, or do sustainable activities from home as well. I'm absolutely looking forward to the digital solution. That's going to be exciting. Competition. I have to say, 3 years ago, Department of Justice told us we need to gamify this. So we listened, we heard, and I know they're not on, but they're the ones that said we need to gamify this in order to get their employees interested. So we listened and we heard. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Merci. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.